Hello and welcome to the Daily News Simplified, the why, what, and how of newspaper reading. Today we will discuss the daily edition of The Hindu newspaper dated 9th May 2018. So let's start. There is an article on page number 7 which reads, Commission approves modern animal-free testing for drugs. This article reads that new guidelines have been provided for pharmaceutical makers. The new guidelines have replaced two drug experiments on animals with the laboratory tests. Now, this topic falls under General Science of the Preliminary Examination and the Science and Technology of the General Studies Paper 3. The article also mentions about an NGO, PETA, that is, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals. So, we will also discuss the aims and objectives of PETA, because previously, in the year 2015, a question was asked on the NGO Amnesty International, and also in 2016 the question was asked about the NGO Doctors Without Borders. The new guidelines provide that the previously undertaken pyrogen test that was undertaken on rabbits and the abnormal toxicity test that was undertaken on guinea pigs and mice have now been replaced by laboratory tests. Now let us understand what are these two tests. The pyrogen test is carried out to check the impurity or a substance that can cause adverse side effects. In this test, the drug is injected into a rabbit and then the animal is observed for feverish symptoms. The second test is the abnormal toxicity test. This test is carried out to check potential hazardous biological contamination in vaccine formulations. In this test, the mice or the guinea pigs are injected with the vaccine. The scientists then observe if there is death of any of the animals. So the pyrogen test is carried out to check the impurity that can cause adverse side effects, and in the abnormal toxicity test, a vaccine is checked for contamination. Now this pyrogen test will be replaced by a bacterial endotoxin test or a monocyte activation test. The new guidelines also say that the abnormal toxicity test can be waived if a compliance certificate from National Control Laboratory is obtained. The NGO PETA has provided arguments against the use of animals in drug experiments. These arguments include: first, it is unethical to intentionally cause pain, fear, and loneliness in animals. Secondly, it has said that animal testing is a bad science because 92 out of every 100 drugs that pass animal tests fail in humans. Thirdly, it is wasteful because animal testing prolongs suffering of people waiting for effective cures. Now we will understand the mandate of Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission and the aims and objectives of PETA NGO. It is an autonomous institution associated with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Its aim is to set standards of drugs in India. The mandate of this commission is to prescribe standards for identity, purity, and strength of drugs that are required from healthcare perspective of human beings and animals. Its mandate is also to promote rational use of generic drugs. Indian Pharmacopoeia is a document developed by this commission, which is an official document for overall quality control and assurance of pharmaceutical products marketed in India, by the way of contributing on their safety, efficacy, and affordability. So the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission is an autonomous institution associated with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Its aims and objectives are to set the standards of drugs in India. It prescribes standards for identity, purity, and strength of drugs. It also promotes rational use of generic drugs. Indian Pharmacopoeia is an official document of this commission which provides for overall quality and control of the pharmaceutical products marketed in India. Now let us have a look at some basic facts related to the NGO PETA, that is, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. PETA is an American animal rights organization. PETA focuses its attention on the four areas in which the largest number of animals suffer most intensely for the longest period of time. Now these areas are: first, the use of animals in food industry; secondly, the use of animals in clothing trade; third is the use of animals in laboratories; and finally, the use of animals in entertainment industry. Next we will see how PETA works for animal welfare. What are the methods used by PETA? So PETA works through public education, cruelty investigations, research, animal rescue, special events, and it also organizes protest campaigns. So the basic facts about PETA are that it is an American animal rights organization. It focuses on 4 areas where the animals suffer the most. These industries are food industry, clothing industry, laboratories, and the entertainment industry. And also the mode of work that PETA does, that is public education, cruelty investigations, protest campaigns, etc. Previously, questions have been asked based on the areas in which some of the famous NGOs work. For example, Amnesty International and the Doctors Without Borders. So under this article, we have understood that new guidelines have been provided for pyrogen test and abnormal toxicity tests. Also, we understood that what is pyrogen test and what is abnormal toxicity test. We also learned that these tests have been replaced by new laboratory tests. Also, we have learned the PETA's opposition of the use of animals in drug trials. Next, we learned about the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, its aims and objectives, its mandate, and the Indian Pharmacopoeia document. Finally, we learned about the NGO PETA. Now let us move on to the next article. Now there is an article on page number 13 which reads, April gold imports plunge 39% on weak demand. This topic falls under the Indian economy part of General Studies paper 3. Previously, a question was asked in the year 2015, that is, craze for gold in Indians has led to a surge in import of gold in recent years and put pressure on balance of payments and external value of rupee. So now let us discuss what the article says. The article says that the gold import has fallen by 39%. This reduction in import is due to reduced demand. Further, this reduction in demand is due to high domestic prices of gold. Now we will look at the effects of this reduction in imports. Now the most important consequence of this reduction in import is that lower gold imports will help India to reduce its trade deficit. Further, this will help in improving the balance of payment situation. So the key takeaways of this article are that the reduction in gold import is due to reduced demand, which in itself is due to high domestic prices of gold. The effect that it will have is that it will help reduce India's trade deficit and will improve the balance of payment situation. Now let us move on to the next article. There is an article on page number 10 which reads UN Report for Social Inclusion. The name of the report is the UN Economic and Social Survey of Asia and the Pacific 2018. This report is prepared by the body UNESCAP. This topic falls under General Studies paper 2 under the International Relations. Under the topic Important International Institutions, Agencies, Fora and their structure and mandate. Previously, in the year 2017, a question was asked, what are the main functions of United Nations Economic and Social Council? Explain different functional commissions attached to it. So we'll also have a look at the structure and mandate of the UNESCAP. The name of this report is the United Nations Economic and Social Survey of Asia and Pacific 2018. This report is produced by United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, that is UNESCAP. The report examines the ways to boost the public financial resources and it aims at leveraging the private capital to improve the long-term economic prospects of Asia and the Pacific countries. So the UN Report for Social Inclusion is produced by UNESCAP and It aims at boosting the public financial resources and using the private capital to improve long-term economic prospects of Asia-Pacific countries. Now, previously a question has been asked on United Nations Economic and Social Council. So we'll look into the basic facts about the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific region. It is one of the 5 regional commissions of the United Nations Economic and Social Council. It was established in 1947 to encourage economic cooperation among its members. UNESCAP's regional focus is on managing globalization through programs in environmentally sustainable development, trade, and human rights. So it is one of the 5 regional commissions of United Nations Economic and Social Council. It was established in 1947 to encourage economic cooperation among its member states. Its regional focus is on managing globalization through programs in the field of environmentally sustainable development, trade, and human rights. Now let us look at the scope of UNESCAP. UNESCAP works to overcome some of the region's greatest challenges by providing results-oriented projects, technical assistance, and capacity building to the member states in the following areas. It assists member states in macroeconomic policy and development. It publishes Asia Pacific Development Journal twice a year. It also assists the member countries in trade and investments, transport, social development, environment and sustainable development, information and communications technology, and disaster risk reduction. Also, in statistics and sub-regional activities for development. In the year 2017, a similar question was asked. By this article, we will be able to answer what are the main functions of UNESCAP. Now let us move on to the next article. There is an article on page number 8 which reads, Reviving Neighbourhood First. It further reads, India's regional reset won't be complete without change in its Pakistan policy. This topic falls under General Studies Paper 2 of the mains examination under the topic India and its neighbourhood relations. The article focuses on India's neighbourhood policy. The author says, recently, a reset in relations with China and Nepal has been witnessed, but the same has not been the case with Pakistan. Now, what are the indications of this reset in relations with China and Nepal? The informal summit at Wuhan in China and the upcoming visit of PM Modi to Nepal reflect a change aimed at reviving the Neighbourhood First policy, which was announced in 2014. However, the author says that such a reset has not been visible with the Pakistan. So India's Pakistan policy needs to be provided a sense of direction. The author further focuses on the challenges in resetting the ties with Pakistan. The author says that despite positive steps like the visit of Nawaz Sharif on PM Modi's inaugural and the unofficial visit of PM Modi to Lahore, a reset between India and Pakistan has not been visible. Some of the challenges that India and Pakistan face in reaching a reset like China and Nepal are the Uri attacks, the surgical strikes, stalling of SARC, and highest firing across LOC, also the Kulbhushan Yadav issue. The author concludes by saying that the relation seems to shift again for talks with recent resumption of Track 2 Nimrana dialogue procedure, lowering of LOC firings, but however, the flux in leadership in Pakistan with the removal of Nawaz Sharif and the new General Bajwa in Pakistan has not ensured stability for resetting of ties between India and the Pakistan. The focus of the article is on reset in relations with China and Nepal and not with Pakistan. This reset in relation is indicated by the Wuhan summit and PM Modi's upcoming visit to Nepal. The author further says that initially there were some positive steps to reset relations between India and the Pakistan. However, major challenges that have hindered this reset between India and Pakistan are the Uri attacks, the surgical strikes, the stalling of SARC process, highest firing across LOC, and Kulbhushan Yadav issue. Finally, he concludes by saying that due to the instability in the political regime of Pakistan and the new General of Army, General Bajwa, the resetting of ties between India and Pakistan has not been ensured. Now let us move on to the next article. The lead editorial on page number 8 reads, "For a fair trial." The editorial says that Supreme Court has shifted the conduct of trial for abduction and gang rape of 8-year-old girl from Jammu and Kashmir to Pathankot in Punjab. Now this article falls under the General Studies paper 2 of the mains examination under the topic governance. Let us understand this article. What is the news? The editorial says that Supreme Court has shifted the Kathua rape case trial from Jammu and Kashmir to Pathankot in Punjab. Now let us understand, why did Supreme Court shift the trial process to Pathankot? This incident of rape was seen on sectarian lines. An action of some of the lawyers in heckling the police when the police came to file the charge sheet contributed in giving the impression that the atmosphere was not conducive enough to conduct free and fair trial. The Supreme Court shifted the case also considering in mind the conduct of trial in a speedy manner. The court also reasoned that for a genuine and free trial, it is important that there is free atmosphere where the victims, accused, and witnesses feel safe. So the Supreme Court shifted the trial because sectarian divisions were visible, atmosphere was not conducive for free and fair trial, to conduct the trial in a speedy manner, and to make the victims, accused, and witness feel safe. Now, when does the Supreme Court transfer the trial of such cases? When it appears that there is a deliberate inaction on the part of police, or if it appears that in any trial there can be some biasness due to any reason, then the Supreme Court is empowered to transfer such trial to another state under civil procedure law as well as criminal procedure law. According to section 4061, the transfer of trial of such cases lies with Supreme Court. Also, the Article 21 states that it is the duty of state to protect life and personal liberty of its citizen. Thus, this decision of Supreme Court will inspire confidence in our judicial process. Now let us move on to the next article. There is an article on page number 18 which reads, "Tumor removed by robotic surgery." This surgery was led by an Indian origin surgeon. Also, the patient was first in the world to undergo a complex 3-part robotic assisted surgery. This topic falls under General Studies paper 3 under the subtopic Awareness in the fields of robotics. Now let us understand, why is the news important? The news is important because for the first time a robot was used to successfully remove a rare tumor from a patient's neck in a surgery led by an Indian origin surgeon. The name of this surgical technique is the transoral robotic surgery, abbreviated as TORS. TORS is a modern surgical technique used to treat tumors of mouth and throat via direct access through the mouth. The TORS procedure is done without any incision through the neck, chin, or the lip. The various advantages of using these techniques over the traditional surgery are that it results in less blood flow, shorter hospital stays, and lower complications than the traditional surgery. So the article is in news because first time a robot was used to successfully remove a rare tumor. The name of the procedure used is transoral robotic surgery. It is a modern surgical technique to treat tumors via direct access through the mouth. It is done without any cut or incision. The advantage with this technique is that it leads to less blood flow, shorter hospital stays, and lower complications than the traditional surgery. With this, we have come to the end of today's discussion. Now let's move on to the question for the day.